Welcome to Front Porch Lawyer, where we address the humanity of lawyering. Many attorneys are winning battles in the courtroom, but losing battles in their lives. From interpersonal relationships to stress management, Front Porch Lawyer explores topics that improve your practice, your lifestyle, and even your love life. Leave feeling a little more inspired with a smile on your face. Here's your host, Francine Tone.
Hi, I'm Francine Tone, and welcome to my front porch. Today we're back on brain science and chronic stress. This is part 2 of a 2-part series. Now, if you haven't watched part 1, please go back and take a look at it, because in this video it will make way more sense. So in part 1, we talked about how lawyers in particular are suffering from chronic stress, which can result in many problems. And we ended the video from part 1 with the idea that lawyers, because of the chronic stress they're in, never turn off the cortisol tap, that it's leaking. And so we need a way to shut that down. So today I'm going to cover one significant tool to help you reduce stress and manage it more effectively, and I'm going to give you a quick fix that can turn that faucet off. So 25 years ago, I was a litigation and trial attorney. And in California, we have form interrogatories, which is a pre-printed set of questions that we can use in almost any case. One day, I received responses to a set of form interrogatories that I had sent out, and the attorney had objected to every single question. Question 1, state your name. Objection. Irrelevant, speculative. Really? You can imagine my reaction. I saw red. And I apparently reacted loud enough that secretaries came running into my office. In that moment, my cortisol tap was turned on full. Back then, I had no idea about the relationship between emotional reaction, stress, cortisol, and my well-being. I did not have control over my emotional reactions as I do today. And I was very stressed. Today, I would react differently because I have retrained my brain. Yes, you can retrain your brain. We call that neuroplasticity, meaning that the brain can form new and different pathways, neural pathways, and change the habits that our brain has in responding to whatever we face in the day. So 25 years ago, I fell prey to my own thought distortions, or cognitive distortions. Thought distortions are conscious or unconscious spins that our brain puts on information that's coming in. So you think you should be able to trust your own brain, but when we trust it unconsciously and automatically, sometimes we get into trouble. So one example of a thought distortion is jumping to conclusions. And usually we do this without all the facts. And then we have a negative reaction, and then the brain perceives, because of the negative reaction, perceives that there's a threat. So think about a time you were dealing with opposing counsel, and based on one incident, such as some words they spoke, or maybe they didn't return your phone call, or they objected to the question, state your name, you immediately conclude that opposing counsel is doing something nefarious. And then you react with anger and frustration. By jumping to the conclusion that the attorney is misbehaving in some way, you've signaled your brain to have a strong negative reaction. And that strong negative reaction then triggers the brain to say threat. And now you know what happens when the brain perceives a threat. It turns on the cortisol tap. What's important here is not whether your conclusion was right or wrong, but the fact that your conclusion led to this strong negative reaction. Many stressors in the lawyer's daily life are the result of these thought distortions. By learning to recognize them, you can eliminate or control your reactions and reduce the amount of stress you go under. It really doesn't matter what the other person is doing. They could be, in fact, being evil. Maybe they're stonewalling you, but why should you suffer because of what they're doing? When you learn about the thought distortions, you'll immediately see it in others. But the key here is for you to see it in yourself. When you notice a thought distortion, you need to do something. You need to get more information. You need to clarify the information, get verification, and not react right away. Because the significant cause of your reaction is the spin, which when you're jumping to conclusion is not enough information yet. So go get the rest of the story before you reach the conclusion, and certainly before you react to it. Doing this will start to retrain your brain and stop reacting all the time. Harnessing your thought distortions will reduce stress and help you manage the causes of stress more effectively. Now, I'm including with this video my handout for the thought distortion handout. And in it includes 11 of the most common thought distortions and a description of what those are. When you look at the handout, you're going to chuckle because you're going to know the ones that you tend to gravitate towards. Now, in episode 102, I talked about accurately identifying emotions, which is another tool that is helpful for you to be able to manage your stress more effectively. If you haven't watched episode 102, please go watch it next. And if you have watched episode 2 and you don't remember, go watch it again, because between what I talk about in episode 2 and what I just gave you, you'll have 2 significant ways to start managing your stress right away. I should have called this part 1 and 2 of 100 parts, because I can't cover all of the ways to manage stress in 2 short videos. Plus, not every solution or tool applies to you. When I'm working with my clients to help them recapture that passion for their law practice, or improve their lifestyle, or just get control of their stressors, you and I sit down and go over typical days and identify the sources of the stress and problems in your situation. And not every tool is necessary. We have to figure out what your problem is and use the tool that's most appropriate to solve your problem. Now, I also want to give you one short and easy quick fix, a hack, and I call it my inhaler. I'll explain. Let's say you have asthma and your doctor prescribes medication, and you may even have a medical regimen. So the medication and the programs that your doctor puts you on is for your long-term journey to help you. But you might also have an inhaler in your pocket. That's the quick fix. So the 2 approaches that I've covered so far here and in episode 102 is to get you started on your journey. But this is the inhaler. Now, you've heard of the term mindfulness, probably ad nauseum. Mindfulness is simple. It just means developing the ability to calm your mind. When you get angry or react strongly, doing something to calm your mind is going to be very helpful in making sure your cortisol tap gets turned off completely. The purpose of mindfulness is to be able to control our thoughts. Now, don't confuse mindfulness with meditation. Meditation is a tool that will help you develop mindfulness, but they're not the same thing. I know people who meditate who are not very mindful, and I know people who don't meditate in the traditional sense who are very mindful. So being able to calm your mind is an effective way to fix the cortisol leak. So we're going to watch a video, and there's a flower in this video, and I want you to focus on the flower and think of nothing else. If thoughts pop into your head, it's okay. Just take note that the thought popped into your head and then go back to focusing on the flower. It's only 20 seconds, so let's watch this video. Anytime you need a stress releaser, you can do this. Anytime you've reached, perhaps appropriately, some kind of anger or frustration or strong negative emotion, but you're kind of getting over it, you can use this to stop that leak, making sure that the tap is closed completely. You can make your own video, 20, 30, 60 seconds long, or you can literally stop and smell a rose for 20 seconds. I know, this was supposed to be part 2 of 2, but I think we need a part 3 because we didn't talk about anything that's happening in your law practice, in your law office. So in part 3, I'm going to cover ways that you can make modifications in your law practice to help reduce stress. And as always, send me your feedback, your questions, or comment below. And of course, if you've got thoughts on topics that you want to see on Front Porch Lawyer, let me know about them. And follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube so you don't miss an episode. Thank you for joining me on my front porch. This is Francine Tone and Front Porch Lawyer, and I'll see you next time.